For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby German?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about 50.
Born from a family's grief and determination. In April of 2020, Army soldier Vanessa Guillen went missing while stationed at one of the largest military installations.
That little music in the background that goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed it.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
They dropped the ball, man. Like they said, he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Like I said, we're going back. We were asked last time to kind of talk about the food, the grub truck video, and kind of give our perspective of it. The press release from the police department, it indicated that they're still trying to put pieces together from that night. Does that worry you at any point or at any bit that they're still trying to put those pieces together?
It's been over 5 weeks since little Kaylee Anthony vanished. Her mother, Casey, has been arrested for lying to police. She's being held without bail.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J. And alongside with me is my good buddies, Jaime and Big Blue. How you doing tonight, man?
I thought you're gonna keep on saying something else. I was like, did I hear him right? No, what's it called? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just chilling. I'm excited about this episode.
Me too. We have a special guest, and we'll get into that here in a second. Well, also, Jaime, are you drinking anything tonight with us?
Dude, I couldn't find anything. I'm drinking this vodka.
Ooh,
yeah, I couldn't find anything, so I only had an orange Fanta.
How's that combination?
It's not working out for me, man.
It's not working out.
It's not working out at all.
It sounds like a heartburn in a cup, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna feel that later for sure.
What about you, Big Blue? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I have to work, but I'll drink a Tall Boy Arizona green sweet tea.
Put it in a paper bag.
No,
no paper bag.
Yeah.
I see we have some folks drinking with us tonight. Jane C having bourbon and lemonade. That's awesome. That is awesome. I went back to one of the drinks that we drank earlier this year on our drink offs. I enjoyed it then, and I thought I would drink it again. It's a Tall Boy. It's a Smirnoff Spicy Tamarindo. This thing had what was it? Man, the alcohol concentration was pretty high, so I don't want to screw myself. And it is a Tall Boy. It was like, I can't even find it anymore. But we drank this earlier. It's only 4.5. It's not going to do anything. But I have a Modelo behind it. Also, another Tall Boy Mango that I'll be drinking a little bit later. And so, yeah, I got 2 of them, man. I wanted to feel good. But tonight, we have a special guest. We have somebody who was friends at one point with Bryan Kohberger, the accused in the Idaho 4 incident. Her name is Bree. She'll be coming in. Bree, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight? Are you drinking with us?
I am drinking. I'm actually going to have Screwball and some Mason.
Nice. So Big Blue's missing out tonight.
Yeah, blue.
Even though I can do an IV buzz, I'm not gonna chance it.
No.
Yeah, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Well, Bree, welcome to the show. We met you the other day through our live chat. You saw the thumbnail. I actually had found that picture on a Facebook post. And so that's where all this started. I found the Facebook post, saw the picture, and I was like, I'm going to use this as a picture that nobody's used. And fortunately, you saw yourself and you wanted to come out here. Without getting into too much of your, and that's what we're not going to do tonight. We're not going to get into any personal information or anything like that. If you guys have questions for her, we try to answer them. If you send it in and it's a super chat, we'll definitely look at it. If it's appropriate and she's okay answering it, then she will, but we're not going to force any questions. So my first question is, when did you meet Bryan and how did you meet him?
I met Bryan in high school, and we went to Votech together, but we didn't officially meet until I ended up throwing a banger with my best friend at her house.
Got you. And so he was at the party?
He was, yeah.
Okay. Was he a party guy? Did he go to parties?
I don't necessarily think he was a party guy, but I can say that Bryan, anytime we had a little soiree or a get together, he was there, but he was very selective with his friends. So I don't think that he went to many parties other than just his few friends here or there where he knew it was a safe place for him.
Got you. And when you say a safe place for him, what do you mean by that? Did he find places not to be safe for him? What does that mean?
I do think Bryan was bullied in high school. I've never seen it, but we went to two schools. We went to our high school, and then half of the day we went to our vocational school. And in our vocational school, there were 5 to 6 other high schools. And with Bryan being the quiet guy that he was and very to himself kind of guy, I don't foresee him not being bullied.
Got you. Understood. Now, were you guys in the same grade, or was he, a grade ahead of you guys, or?
He was a grade below me.
Got you. And so we have a $5 super chat by Michael. You guys are awesome. Thank you for bringing awareness to this case. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Cheers to you, Michael. Or Michelle, I'm sorry. I'm already feeling the tamarindo. Just kidding. So how long did you know Bryan, or were you a friend / acquaintance of his?
We weren't best friends, but we weren't acquaintances. We did hang out a few times. I actually used to call him my favorite chicken because he was so funny. For anybody who knew Bryan knew that he had humor on him, but it's unfortunate because he was such a loner that not a lot of people got to see that side of him.
Got you. And so and guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask her.
Okay. Well, I did have one. Was there ever a time that he acted strange or anything like that, awkward?
Okay, so there was a huge jump in our friendship. If we're going to start with a timeline here, we met, I think, beginning of my senior year. And he wasn't into heavy drugs at this time, or at least that I knew of. And me and my very close friend, we were a trio who I will not name. We were a trio of friends. So it was never me and Bryan or just her and Bryan. It was just 3 of us most of the time. And I did see a shift in him when he started doing heavy drugs, so normally you think your teenage partying year is, some underage drinking, weed, maybe some psychedelics here or there if you're a little adventurous. Yeah. But you started getting into the heroines and the triple C's and the wild stuff. Yeah.
We're from a border town, so I remember guys in high school, bringing coke and trying to snort it in gym. You know what I mean? It's some crazy stuff down there. So
yeah,
I believe up there they have some other kind of drugs that we get.
Yeah, for sure. And so was While you knew Brian, was he ever romantically involved with anybody?
I
Did he
get
ever have a
that
girlfriend?
question a lot. I get that question a lot, a lot. No, that when I was friends with him, he did not have a girlfriend at the time. And you know, my friend and I, mostly my friend, I think she's the most beautiful person in the world. You know, while everybody always hit on her, like Brian always stood as platonic as possible. Like he never crossed boundaries in that sense of um, you know, being romantic with anyone or just doing his normal hormone teenage thing. He was always respectful toward women, and I never remember him talking about women like a subject or an object.
Got you. Got you. Did he ever have a romantic interest? Did he ever tell you about a crush or anything like that
No,
on a specific person?
nope. Never really talked about anything too intimate.
So
Got you.
one of the big questions in the chat is everybody wants to know what triple C is.
Triple C, dang, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a step up from like Molly and things like that. Like it's like pretty intense. It's what people go to when they are in those heavy drugs.
Got you.
And,
Got you.
and someone said, "I love your Hello Kitty collection." Thank you. I have over 2,000 of them.
Oh. Like Miss Funko Pops.
Yeah. Yeah. So he just ended up doing some heavy drugs, and I knew some of those people because a lot of people did those drugs on the bus to Votech. So a lot of people were like off their rocker at Votech, and it was just unsupervised. Like I've watched somebody snort cocaine in the back of the bus, and like we're in our senior year. I'm like, whoa, shouldn't we be doing this in our 20s?
Oh wow. Wow. And Votech, it was what, HVAC? Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was he a strict vegan? Was his diet that way back then?
I don't remember the veganism. I can't recall. No.
Okay. Okay. So he started taking some heavy drugs. How long, did it take for you to notice a change in him after he started to take those drugs?
Well, I remember just party after party, like he would just like get weirder and weirder and then like disappear for a little bit. And I think the last party that like we actually were at together, we were at my friend's house, and he disappeared for a little bit, came back, was like really weird. He was just like a little bit weird, and we were like, "Are you good?" And he just ended up disappearing in the cornfield, like just in the cornfield, and like everyone was already drunk, smoking marijuana. Like we were not gonna worry about like Bryan Kohberger just running away, and his dad came knocking on the door. He wasn't mean at all. Like I just remember it being like a 2-minute like interaction, and he was like, "Is Brian here?" And we were just like, "He was here, but we don't know where he is now." He ran off into the cornfield, and then I guess the next day or two, I'm not really sure, but I just remember him like messaging us like, "Guys, I got lit last night." I was like, "Oh, all right."
Oh, geez.
That was going to be actually my next question. If you knew his parents.
What was that?
I said that was going to be actually my next question. If you knew his parents.
I did not know any of his family, his sisters, or his parents. I just had that one interaction. But from what I heard from friends, local friends that we've been talking, that his mom was a substitute or worked in the school district, and she was the nicest woman. And his dad was like a great storyteller. And that's really it.
Did you ever visit the home that they lived in?
I drove by it, but I've never like went inside or visited. No, he was always either at my friend's house where we all hung out, or we went like hiking or something. But he was never really. I was never there at his house. No.
Got you.
I wonder what kind of posters he has on his wall and stuff like that. You know, what kind of music was he into?
Music we actually listened to a lot of lo-fi beats before it was lo-fi. Like, we listened to a lot of just chill music because that's kind of like the little friend group that we created. And then he would obviously listen to the music that we had at parties, like just random like Kanye playlists. But I never saw him like vibing out to Kanye. But I definitely know like lo-fi was the ish.
Got you. And so after once you guys, he started getting onto some harder stuff and changing a little bit. Did you ever hear or know of any altercations he may have gotten with any other people? Apparently, some indicate that he became a bully himself. Are those rumors? Did you ever hear those rumors?
I heard the rumors, but it wasn't until recently where this case is unfolding that I didn't hear or that I've heard of him like being a bully or aggressive. I don't ever remember him getting into a fight, but as soon as he offered my friend heroin, we cut the friendship off because that's when we realized like this friendship is really toxic and like this is just not something that we can allow. Like, we can't have someone overdose in a house where we're all just drunk and on weed trying to have a good time. Like, that's just a whole nother level.
Right. No, for sure. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Blue.
I see one of the main questions I see in the live chats is, did he ever have a girlfriend? Was he straight or gay? That's what the main question was.
I do believe he was straight. He definitely was straight, but at the time of our friendship, he did not have a girlfriend. I'm also seeing in the chat here because I have it on the side of me. Someone asked a few times, "Do I think he's guilty?" And I feel like that's a question for a little later on, but I'd love to keep answering questions.
Okay.
So you guys have.
So in these pictures here that you sent, this is in high school, I assume?
Yeah.
And this is like a FaceTime?
Yep, it's Skype. Yep.
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah, he looks like a normal guy. You know, he really does. This picture here, where was this taken at?
That picture there was taken at my friend's house at one of our parties, and I think that may have been the party that he ran into the cornfield, or a party before that.
Got you. And so, go ahead, Blue.
I've been up north, and when you party up north and you get too drunk, you run in the cornfields, man.
Yeah, no, the cornfield is definitely where you go and you seek yourself for sure.
Hey, Blue, there's a lot of feedback coming back on your mic, I think.
Yeah, I don't know whose it is. I was going to say that.
Yeah, I think it might be Blue's. Can you check it in? Yeah, mute yourself.
Plug it.
Okay. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat there from T-Boss. And I think we had a Jane C also came in with a $2 super sticker. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so since high school, he's never tried to like reconnect with you, or whether it be like Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature, just friend requests, nothing like personal.
So he did contact me about 2 years after we graduated, which would be a year after he graduated because he was in a year below me. And I've been looking for this message. I don't know if it was on Facebook, Instagram, or one of my deleted social medias, but I do remember Brian. I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second, so just bear with me. Go ahead. Brian messaged me, and he was, I think I liked a photo of his or vice versa, and he messaged me and he said, "Hey, Bree, I just want to let you know, like, I'm getting sober, or I am sober," somewhere along those lines. And I just remember me saying, like, "That's so great." I've never been friends with somebody, like, I've been friends with people who did, like, drugs in high school, but never somebody who, like, sobered up and, like, been to that side. So I was like, "Oh, that's great. Like, I'm so proud of you." But he was really talking from the heart, I believe, when he said that he was just trying to change his life for the better, and that he wanted to do something that changes people, changes the community. He really wanted to make an impact, honestly. And just looking at it now, like I've had to come to terms with it, is like I have someone in my life personally who have been taking the steps for sobriety, and one of the steps is to make amends. And I truly believe, like in my soul, that Bryan was genuinely trying to make amends, because we were friends, we were good friends, and I believe he was trying to just make amends and try to fix what he broke in high school, with the relationship with his family, relationship with people, relationship with just anybody who saw him fall into that like really hard downward spiral. And that's why I believe that he went to college for what he did, and now ended up with trying to do his PhD in criminology. I don't believe Votech was necessarily a thing that he loved doing, the HVAC, but I do genuinely believe, like with his research and stuff, I do believe he really wanted to make a difference and make a change, for sure.
Do you what type of hobbies was he into when you knew him?
He liked to be outside or just chill. Like he was very chill. Like he didn't really have like video game addiction or anything of the sort. He wasn't really necessarily an A++ student, but he wasn't a bad student either. He never really got into too much trouble either, as far as my memory is. I just think he just wanted to just exist, if that makes sense. So we lived in the Poconos. We're surrounded by nature, and he really enjoyed like just sitting out on my friend's porch or my porch, and we just hung out in the wind and just relaxed.
So, go ahead, Jaime.
Oh, I was gonna ask if was he, when y'all were friends, did he show interest in already in crime, like in cold cases, crime cases, or he didn't show any interest in that yet?
Criminology.
No. I don't necessarily remember us bonding over true crime, and I told you guys earlier that like I've been into true crimes. It's a huge part of who I am, and I don't necessarily ever remember us bonding over true crime, because that is something that like all my friends in my circle know I enjoy.
Interesting. And so, go ahead, Jaime.
Hey, I'm gonna jump off. I think it's me.
Yeah, it's both of you guys. That when you guys are talking, I think you just need to unplug it and plug it back in.
I'm gonna jump off real quick.
All right. One question here asks: was he a OCD? Was he really neat, into being a neat freak type of person? Very clean.
Those Skype videos, like if you look in the background, I don't believe like he was in the living room. I don't remember if he was, but if you look, like his room kind of looks tidy. Like there's not like excessive posters everywhere and like dirty teen room. Like you just see it's very clean. I don't believe he had OCD, but I do believe like he wasn't a normal teen boy where he was just messy and left everything everywhere.
Right. It looks like he has some type of degree or something in the corner, maybe some type of award. An accomplishment that looks like a breaker box. So this wouldn't be in the living room or the kitchen. My thoughts would be probably in the maybe a basement bedroom. There's a clock, an old school clock. Yeah. If this is his room, then yeah, you're right. He does this. Those aren't typical. So when he got interested in things, what's the word I'm looking for? Did it consume him? Like sometimes, like for instance, when I got into podcasting, I went pretty crazy and got a bunch of stuff for it. Was he like that? Did he get consumed by projects or things that he was doing?
To my knowledge, I don't believe he has been consumed with projects or anything like that. Like I said, I think he was just an average student just trying to survive and like get out of high school, figure out what life is. And honestly, I don't really know his life in the heroin addict. So I'm not sure like after that downfall of his, I'm not sure what his life looked like then.
Understood. You know, I knew he was a security guard at I think at the high school that you guys attended after the fact, and I would assume that, you know, if he had gone through the steps that he went through to get healthy or to get clean and becoming, you know, into that profession, that he may have, you know, cleaned up and not be on the mind altering drugs, especially given how, you know, his extreme vegan lifestyle that he's currently living. Go ahead, Big Blue.
I had a quick question. When you knew him at that time, was he also into kickboxing? And did he ever get a severe injury? Because we've heard that he also did kickboxing.
I do remember him, like, after we parted our ways, he was in kickboxing. Maybe I saw, like, a picture or two, but it does cross my mind that he was in kickboxing. And I saw questions in here, was he working? He worked at a local pizza joint. I don't remember the name, but he worked at a local pizza joint. And how old was he when you last seen him? We were probably 18 years old, maybe 17 years old when I last saw him. And I was maybe 19 years old when he contacted me, and that was the last time we conversated.
Got you. Yeah. I just, you know, you being a different grade, that changes things. I was gonna, you know, he just turned 28, so I assume his 10-year reunion just happened. I was wondering if maybe you had ran into him, but if you were a grade ahead of him, then that wouldn't mix, so to speak. Do you have you spoken with anybody that you know were friends of his as well since this incident has come out, and had any type of conversation about, you know, his possible involvement?
Not so much possible involvement. I have talked to some friends from high school who was in his class or have been with him outside of school. And they're just as shocked. Most people are still processing. I think the people who are already giving him a guilty sentence or just Bryan's guilty, blah, 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 are people who didn't know him or people who didn't really, everyone is just following what the media says, or the FBI caught him, so we're all done, and, you know, that's it.
Right.
But I think people who genuinely knew him are like, what the heck? Like, what in the world just happened? Like, she actually is listening now, and she gave me permission. Somebody who worked with him more recently than not. She's fantastic. And she just said that she is shocked and really upset. And I think that's what everybody is feeling who knew Bryan or had some sort of relationship with him. And I think a lot of people are still on the fence if he is guilty or not, because just the Bryan that we knew, it's like, what? That's really out of character.
Right. So when you hear the stories that potentially there was somebody that was described as him, harassing a waitress, calling her the B word, that doesn't sound typical of the Bryan that you knew.
Nah, Bryan was too quiet to like cause commotion like that. But I do know, like any human being, I want to say this absolutely respectfully. I think everybody is just taking bits and pieces from bad moments of Bryan's life and are trying somehow to correlate it with the story or with his actions now. And that's really hard for me personally, because it's like, I know I had really bad moments. I've had very dark moments, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like kill my husband or my kids or off myself or something. It's just like, dang, I wish these people didn't throw these bad parts about me. Like some guy said, because he's a heroin addict, it messed with his brain and he killed 4 people. And it's like, I don't think you understand how like recovery works. And like, if he only used heroin for like a year or two, there's people who've been on heroin for years, for decades, and get sober and they're fine. Like this guy used it and he was in his teens. He was healthy. I can't foresee him just clicking. I don't know.
Got you. And so I guess with my other question, I used the wrong word as far as involvement. What I meant was, and I think you answered it, as do you know anybody that feels like he could have done it? like that aren't surprised that it's him, so to speak. Is perhaps somebody that's local or come out that that you trust, that they've known him, and their opinion it could be that he may have done it.
I have talked to one or two people that definitely, how do I word this? They aren't necessarily surprised, but they are at the same time. They're like, what, Brian? But that makes sense. And
Right.
I'm like, where? I don't know. So yeah, there are some people that we went to high school with that are just like, he was such a weird kid. Like, I saw him at the water fountain and he told me about his sister's goldfish and I thought he was so weird. Now he's a killer. And it's like, what?
Yeah, that's weird. What
That's
do you
Reddit
guys
for
have
you.
any? Yeah, we went over 30 minutes. I don't know. We're only going to keep you for 30. Jaime, Blue, do you have any questions for her before we let Bree go?
Well, my question was like her initial thoughts about when the news broke out that this could have been him. You know what I mean? But that's what I want to know. How she felt. Like, does she uh, automatically dismissed it or not?
So,
But
very good.
yeah.
So I do want to say before we go, that is a great question. When I first found out, I'm a person of humor. I laugh at everything and everything. And it was actually from my friend in the trio. And I was like, LOL, what the fuck? Or I'm sorry for my language, what in the world?
Yeah.
And so I joked about it at first, and then like later on in the night, I was like, what? Like, there's like, I'm grieving, but also processing. I do want to say, because I see a lot of questions. Do you think he's guilty? As a true crime fan, I have seen multiple cases play out all the time where they get the suspect, the FBI is involved, everything, and then you get to the very end and it's completely somebody different, or they don't find them guilty. And at this point in time, I have to stick with our justice system and say, like, you're innocent until proven guilty. Until I have the facts, and I don't mean facts as in people on Reddit trying to piece things together on one of their boards on their like walls. I mean like actual evidence from the case. Then to this person, like, I don't necessarily think he's innocent, but I don't think he's guilty. I think we just have to wait and see how it pans out. And I'm not going to sit here and trash somebody that in my brain has always made me laugh, who always made me feel safe, because it's indifference for me as of right now.
Yeah,
sure. For sure. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And, the justice system is the way it is because for a reason. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. He'll have his day in court. He is on his way to Idaho to get some of those answers as to what evidence they have against him. Well, I appreciate you, Bree, coming on. Blue, Blue, did you have any last questions?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on. I know you met him a long time ago. He was a sweet guy, and he probably was at that time. And he could change or it could not be him. We'll find out what the proof that they have on him, and go from there. I mean, you just have to see what the truth is.
I do believe that if he is guilty, like, I want to say this right now, if he is guilty, he deserves justice for the crimes. But right. I mean, there's just some things that are like off to me, but then there's also like, whoa, they found the DNA. But like the things that are off is if you look at the body cam, his car is super dirty. You would think after something so brutal that his car would be clean, or there would be their evidence in there, like their DNA. And so we're just gonna have to wait for that report that says like they found blood in his car or whatever, but the outside of his car looked like he hasn't cleaned it in months. And so like it's little things like that where it's like, maybe we may have a hung jury, who knows? But like, we're just gonna have to keep watching, keep listening, and have respectful thoughts and opinions and respect other people, like their parents,
when y'all were younger, would he ever have any knives on him? I know up north a lot of people carry knives. Is that
Now I don't remember him ever. I remember him always wearing this blue zip-up hoodie with like baggy pants and black sneakers. I think it's black sneakers or white sneakers. It was very plain, very like don't look at me kind of thing.
Okay, so he didn't have like a infatuation with like weapons or guns or knives or any of those type of things. He wasn't
That I
interested in
know
this.
of, no. And no, I never remember him like into like, and I saw a few comments in here where it's like, did he ever kill animals? Like, no. And if he did, I'm sure we as his friends wouldn't even know that he was killing animals.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. It's there's a profile that's out there for a person that commits this type of crime, and sometimes those questions will come up to see if he fits that profile. Bree, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Do you have any questions for us before you go?
No, I don't necessarily really have any questions or anything. I just want to say, this isn't about the guests that you have on here or me or anybody really. It's just at the end of the day, let's just have empathy for 5 families lost their kids, and that's including Bryan's parents. So I think just being respectful, going off of facts and healthy opinions, I think that's all we can really do. And that's really why I wanted to get on here and talk, is just to shed light that this was a person that I knew, and he was different, compared to what the media is making him now. And I'm trying very hard to make sure that this case doesn't taint those memories of that person. Whatever he is now, I don't know. I haven't been friends with him for 10 years, but a lot of respect to their families and how they're handling it, and respect to you guys and your viewers, because they are just so respectful and just really awesome. So
yeah, we have some great members of our live chat. We appreciate every single one of them.
Yeah.
Well, Bree, I'm going to be pulling you out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Maybe we can do this again another time.
Sure. I'll stay
Awesome.
on, guys, but have a good one, guys.
Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
And that was Bree, y'all. Former friend of Bryan Kohberger, accused in the Idaho 4 incident. Some details, a little bit of an insight of who this guy is or was at the time that she knew him.
Yeah.
It seems like there is at one point this guy was a normal human being, as I'm sure. If he did do it, then something definitely changed him. But it was a lot of great insight. I think we learned a lot about him. What do you guys think? We'll go with you, Big Blue.
Yeah, man, I think we did. People do change over the years. I remember seeing some people in high school that we went with that I never thought would do drugs and stuff, and some passed away from doing drugs. So people change over time. So it's been a while since we've been in high school too, so it happens.
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
For sure. What about you, Jaime?
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I had a lot of feedback in my headset. I couldn't really hear that much, but from what she told us and what she experienced with him as being friends in high school, something happened during those 10 years when they stopped talking that might have flipped the switch. He might have gone off a different path. You know what I'm saying? If he's the guy,
Right.
Because
Exactly.
Of course, he's innocent right until proven guilty. If he is the guy, then something went wrong between those 10 years.
Definitely so. I mean, it just seems like he was a guy that, she wasn't aware of the bullying, but isn't surprised that he may have been bullied just because of how quiet and awkward. It seems like he was socially awkward based on what she said. And, mainly just, stuck to a close knit of friends and was a normal guy within those close knit friends. And, I mean, it sounds like the family didn't know about this situation. Mark comes in with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate you. Cheers. Says thank you for your time, Bree. I'll drink to that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jeff H, who is a good friend of the channel, he sent us the first Indiana traffic stop audio sync with the noise reduced. I want to thank him very much for sending me this information and sending me this. I haven't really looked at this tape. I saw the first one that came out. There was a lot of noise in the background, and so from the vehicles around it. And oh man, we got another one. Real quick, guys, do you think he was on something the night of the incident? I'm gonna say no. I think he planned this to a T. I think he was stone cold sober. What about you guys?
Oh man, it's hard to tell. Some people that do these kind of crimes, they don't have to be on anything. You know what I mean? They enjoy it, but it's hard to tell, man. Without that specific, evidence, I would say no, but I can't say that in certainty. You know what I mean?
For sure. What about you, Big Blue? What do you think?
I don't know. Like, if he had gone through, recovery, and he had gotten out of doing those kind of type of drugs, then I think a lot of people return to it, but some don't, man. But maybe, like you guys mentioned the other day, they actually pinged them stalking them. So
Yeah.
I think he wasn't on drugs. He had a clear mind.
I do too. And Bree comes in and says, anyway, thank you everyone for being respectful. He takes a shot. Let's give you these guys our attention because they have a great conversation other than our interview. Yes, thank you so much, Bree.
Thank you.
So we're going to watch and listen. This is from Jeff H. He has a YouTube channel. We'll put this in the description after the fact. He reduced the noise. I want to go through this. This is the first time I heard parts of it. I haven't heard the whole thing, so I'm not too familiar with it. We'll listen to it together, and we'll break it up and give them our thoughts on this. A lot of people are asking the question, was his dad aware? Let us know in the live chat as we're watching this. Put 1 for yes, that you think the dad was aware of what Bryan did. Put 2 for no if you don't think he was. Let's do this.
Hello. How you doing? How y'all doing today? Good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. I pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're scanning.
What's WSU?
That is SWAT team and everything.
So I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University?
Yeah.
And you're going where?
All right, so got a lot of 2s, a few 1s, a lot of 2s. All right, so one thing that I heard first and foremost, he asked him, where are you coming from? He said WSU. He asked, what's WSU? And he references a shoot. I don't know how to say it. Shooting. I don't want to. YouTube doesn't like certain words, guys. Shooting that had occurred, and I believe this day at 3-something in the morning, SWAT team was called out to WSU in reference a different situation, and law enforcement had to dispatch a subject, unfortunately, that happened in and around WSU. There's a lot of. Why do you think he mentioned that? We'll start off with you, Xana. Like that incident that occurred that morning.
Honestly, man, from what I've seen so far, he looks super nervous. He probably he said that nervous reaction kind of way.
He does look nervous.
I don't think he actually thought what he was saying. He just said it, and then now he's like, oh.
Yeah, I think.
I'll be honest. I don't think I see him. I swear, I only saw him blink like 3 times through the whole thing.
Let me see. I'm gonna keep it muted. I'm just gonna play it so I can see. So he's looking straight when he talks. He's looking down. He's looking down. He looks at the officer. Looks away when he talks. Looks back. Looks away. He's maintaining eye contact though. His forehead does look shiny. That would tell me that he's starting to get clammy. So I think the reason why he told him WSU, because I think he asks, what's WSU? And I think they were trying to relate to the incident that occurred earlier to jog this officer's memory on what WSU is.
Yeah.
We'll watch it, then we'll listen to it afterwards. Let's watch it through. I just want to kind of see if we notice anything. He does look kind of scared, like extremely scared. This guy looks relaxed. His eyes are wide open. Like you can.
I mean, I'll be honest, man. I get nervous, man. Not because of the law enforcement itself, but like I don't want to get a ticket. Hell no, nobody got money for that.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
I don't think I'll be acting like that though. I'll hide behind the beard.
Hide behind the beard. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Do you notice anything? I don't notice. This is about a month and 2 days after the incident. Big Blue, if he had scratches from defensive wounds, would they still be present 4 weeks and a couple days later?
If they were deep enough, you would have the scabs.
You would have scabs.
Yeah, I think the scabs take a little bit longer than 4 weeks to completely come off. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but just from experience, I know my scabs last a little bit.
Right. Let's see. People are saying, look at the the right wrist. Man, this Smirnoff's kicking me already. It's because it's a tall boy and I haven't eaten much and drink in a long time. It's been a while, guys. All right. So he looks like he's hiding his hand there. That's his left hand, though. I should ask Bree, was he right-handed or left-handed?
I believe she's still in the chat.
Yeah, Bree, if you're still in the chat, let us know if you remember him being left-handed. Because his hand is in between his legs there. I'll pull up the next one and we'll go back and listen to it. I just wanted to see if we knows.
A lot of people ask why his dad was there. Like, we've found out that this was planned for a while that they put out. That, he didn't like flying, so his dad was going to help him drive back. It's a pretty far trip. So.
Yeah, and Bree comes out saying she's not sure if he was right-handed or left-handed. So let's go back to about right here, and I'm going to unmute it.
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're standing.
What's WSU?
That is Foxing area.
So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming.
Yeah, he said it's WSU, it's university. It's where they had and he talks about the incident there. I think he was just bringing it up to inform this officer where they were coming from and give him a point of reference using the most recent incident that had occurred. We'll continue.
Coming from Washington State University? Yeah. And you're going where?
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punched because we drive for hours.
Days.
the driver. Well, almost the driver.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing?
Yeah, there was a mass shooting here.
Where? Interesting.
Well, it's horrifying. It's the university.
Mm-hmm. So y'all work at the university there? Or?
Actually, we were there.
Oh.
The interior of the car looks clean, from what I can see. I saw, I think in the other video that was released, that you can see a plug-in down here. There's a key in the ignition. This is definitely one of the lower end models vehicle. I wonder if this has some type of, I don't think this would be equipped with GPS, right?
Like OnStar?
Well, OnStar or GPS tracking. So like if they were to pick up this vehicle, I don't think they'd be able to track where it was, right?
I don't think so, man. So I didn't even recommend those.
Yeah, I think this, I mean, the screen is, yeah, I think this is the base model. Yeah, and like, I'm assuming that this model probably isn't equipped with GPS. So, all right. Now I'm going to play it again.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
This happened yesterday. About an hour and a half ago, still wrapping up. I'm not sure there's two shootings, but they did shoot somebody.
Let's see.
And then we don't know about that actually. They were there for the shooting.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor and don't follow too close, okay? All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
If somebody asked me where WSU, I'd be saying like Washington, where the red apples come from. That's all I know about.
I will say this. This is, if this guy is the dude, right? Let's just say he is, right? Getting pulled over is probably a high pressure situation for him right there. You know what I mean? I'm imagining he's probably thinking they're coming for me, you know, if he did it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, he didn't, when he talked, it was hard to hear him, but he didn't sound like fluttered. He didn't
stutter either.
He didn't stutter. He seemed cool, calm, and collective outside of the perspiration on his forehead. And we recorded a video, y'all, yesterday. It'll be debuting on Friday. And we were supposed to debut it today, or last night, but YouTube and their rules and regulations, we're having to wait till Friday.
It was a good one too.
It's a good one. You don't want to miss it, so hit that like and subscribe button. But it'll come out on Friday. We talk about what I'm about to reference here in a second, which is why I bring it up. But when you listen to it, it says that we're going to have an interview tomorrow with one of the friends of Bryan, and that's because we recorded it yesterday and it was supposed to come out yesterday, but it's not coming out till Friday now. But in that segment, we talk about the potential call that went to, I believe it's T-Rev, that he received from a guy who people are speculating could be him, and that the voice may sound similar. One thing I'll say is that in that phone call, that guy seemed to get flustered pretty easily. He was all over the place. He got shaky when questioned about why he didn't go to the police, when the Sigma Chi students told him or asked him the questions they were asking him. He became flustered. He became shaky in his voice, those type of things. I would assume that this situation here would be a much higher stressor for him than calling into a podcast. And so I know we spoke about it yesterday on that video that's coming out on Friday. I'm struggling to think that it's him at this point. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the T-Rev Colin you talking about? I don't know, man.
Dave from Utah.
Yeah, it could be anyone. I'm not an expert, a voice analysis expert, but at this point, it could be anyone just trying to get some attention, or it could have been him. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you anything at this point. Anything can happen. Like, especially, we didn't have this guy on the radar at all. Not a lot of people did. So when that came out, it was it was a surprise.
For sure. So Jenny Baker says, I honestly question if they have the right guy. Let's break down what the evidence that we have and what's been, or the information. I'm sorry, not evidence, because we're not privy to it all yet. With the information that we currently have, it appears that they got some sort of DNA, and that they were able to track back somebody, or track back Bryan based off that DNA through a genealogical match from an Ancestry or 23andMe or something of that nature, right? What that tells me right there, by them having to do that, is they had no idea who did this at the point of sending off that DNA. Reason being is, if you suspected that this person was Bryan, then you would go get a warrant for Bryan's DNA. Not have to go this back route to try to figure out who's he related to. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that there's no evidence in that house outside of the DNA that points back to Bryan. Because if there was evidence that pointed back to Bryan, then they would have pointed to him and then taken his DNA.
Yeah.
Right? Now, maybe perhaps once they had evidence of a vehicle nearby or a vehicle parked there, and that, whatever the case may be, they didn't know whose vehicle that was until the DNA came back, and they went through the family history to figure out if there's a white Elantra within the family.
Yeah, registration.
Right. Because if they had known that this vehicle was involved and they had plates, or they had some kind of assumption early on that this was the vehicle we're looking for, in which, they could have been lying, but, for the most part, they said they were looking for a 2011 or 13 Elantra, right? And this was a 2015.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just trying to do the quote unquote math in my head here. It's not math, it's just putting pieces together. So I think that the only thing that ties this case to Bryan is the DNA and the white vehicle, unless they found a weapon and they just haven't put it out there. What do you think? We'll start off with you, Xana.
I haven't heard anything about them finding the weapon. I know they took a lot of stuff from his apartment. They bagged a lot of stuff, but it hasn't come to light if they actually found the weapon. It's rumored, Reddit, that they found the weapon, but nobody can confirm that.
Yeah, I heard they found the sheath, which is like the holder between the bodies of the first floor victims, and so, or second floor, Xana and Ethan or something like that, or underneath Ethan, and that they were able to trace his DNA back to that sheet. Now, I don't think that's it, and the reason being is that doesn't mean, having DNA on a knife holder doesn't mean that he's the only one that's held that knife or that holder, right? In my opinion, it would have to be probably blood, DNA, or skin, or cells underneath the fingernails, things of that nature, to put him there. Because, right, I mean, is it possible that he handled somebody else's knife at one point? You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so you can kind of come up with a scenario where, he goes and talks to somebody and he says, hey, I found a knife on the floor at campus and I discarded it. It looked like that was a sheath and that was it. You know what I mean? And he can kind of explain why his DNA would be on the holder. But for them to make an arrest like this with the evidence that they have, I think it would have to be a little bit more solid than that. And I think it would have to be the DNA underneath the fingernails or some type, maybe he cut himself. I know there's another video out there. I'm going to try to find it real quick while we're talking and see if there's supposedly an image where we can see a cut on his arm or something like that. Give me a second.
Yeah, I mean he has long sleeves, so it's hard to tell in that video. But I think we'll find out when the affidavit comes out what kind of DNA they got, and hopefully, and then I'm pretty sure, as smart as the investigators are, they pinged some, like maybe he had his cell phone on him. Even if he left in the car, it would be in the facility.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's information out there that they may have found blood or hair in a sink. In my opinion, it's a party house. There's a lot of people in there, though. Blood and hair and DNA in a sink. I mean, if he got a bloody nose at one point, while he could just say, I crashed the party one time, I was looking for a place. And there was, I was hanging out there, went in there, and my nose started bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It has to be somewhere that you can't explain, in my opinion. Like beneath, mixed in with the victim's blood. That would be, how do you explain that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's in the drain, that's difficult based on the amount of people that are there, that have been there. And there's a lot of evidence out there as far as how many people have been in that house, and very recently. You know what I'm saying? Some folks said he had about six weeks to heal. Yeah. After this incident, it was about 6 weeks. It was about 5 weeks.
I looked it up just to verify how long it takes for a scratch to heal. It says 1 to 2 weeks, or a little bit longer, depending on how deep it was.
Whenever I cut myself, I just put super glue, and ta-da, I'm good.
What's the Obsession says, hey, everyone, just found this channel. Dig it. I think I've seen your channel, too. Thank you very much. Respectfully, I don't agree with the logic Daniel J. wrote down about familial DNA, etc. Lots of love. What about the familial DNA as far as, how it can be explained in certain places? I mean, I just feel that it has to be, the DNA has to be somewhere where you can't explain it. If it's somewhere that, because you got to look at the house, right? And the type of house that it was a party house. It was known to have a bunch of people in it. I wouldn't be surprised if there is blood or DNA in that house that has nothing to do with this case whatsoever, just based on, kids, young people doing young people things, drinking, having fun, things of that nature. As far as, please explain a little bit further as far as what part of the DNA that you didn't agree with on my logic. And I don't take that in the wrong way. I just curious. Let me see. So let me find the second traffic stop. No, that's the wrong one. That's the same one we saw. All right. Give me a sec. All right. I believe this is it. This is something that people are pointing out at as a potential scratch, bruise, or cut. His hand looks a little swollen. Are you guys seeing that, or it just could be the quality of the video, but this looks like, especially right here and right there, looks kind of plump to me. What do you guys think?
I can't tell. I really can't.
Yeah, this guy's hands look kind of blurred out too, so it might just be the pigment of the camera. All right. I just wanted to point that out. He looks kind of like what's going on. Let's play the rest of this. All right, hold on one second. They didn't have the hard evidence on him because that's what I said. They need to meet the level of probable cause that triggers a judge to sign a warrant. That bar is often high. No, I agree with you. They didn't have the hard evidence because they had to go with that type of DNA. I agree 100%. As far as meeting the level of probable cause for the warrant, it depends on the DNA that they have and where it was located. Now, just because they didn't know who he was at that time, if they can, test it back to him or his family, and then kind of go down the line there, they can piece together enough to get an arrest. And I think that's what they did in this case. But I agree with you 100% that they didn't have hard evidence on him until that DNA came through. There's no way that they knew who he was until that DNA came back. Or maybe not no way, but in my opinion, they didn't know who he was until that DNA came back, and they were able to do this backwards, so to speak. But no, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. All right, let's pause it.
Belongs to state police, got your license and registration. Only reason I stopped you, man, when you were driving by me there, you were a little too close to the back of that semi. You got one car between you and the back of this trailer. I'm about one car with 10 miles an hour, so I'm going 60 or 70 miles an hour. About 6 or 7 cars. Oh, you guys did? Yeah. You guys stopped by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Okay. All right. You thought you guys were following too closely?
So it just paused it on the on that part to kind of show us his face. And yeah, he looks concerned. Now, this is the second stop. He looks actually upset, not so much concerned, in my opinion. He looks kind of pissed. What do you guys think?
I just think he looks nervous. Like I said before, I get a little nervous. I don't want to get a ticket. You know what I mean? I don't want to pay. I don't want to lose money. So apparently he was falling too close to another car, right?
Right. And the thing is,
on both of them, right?
Yeah, on both of them, he's following too close. And so, do you find that odd that they pulled him over for the same thing? Very close.
He was rushing to get wherever he was going. Maybe that's the case.
All right, so go ahead.
I would say it varies, man, because sometimes I do that just so I can get a little bit of their draft, and then I slingshot around them, especially when you're trying to get around slow cars and on the highway.
For sure. Jane C., thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He says clothes couldn't have been clean of the victim DNA. I agree 100%. I agree, and I don't think that based on the description of the scene, I think that he would have transferred DNA and victim's DNA into this car if he used this vehicle to get away, which by all indications seems that he did so. This is a close-up of his hand. I mean, I don't know what that line is. It could just be a shadow, from the this part of your forearm, um, and the pixelated video just makes it look something more, uh, darker than what it is. Um, but it's just too difficult to tell if this
Yeah.
is.
But him and his dad have almost the same knuckles. Like so everybody's saying he maybe had a broken hand. They have almost the same knuckle formation. If you look at the dad's hand there too.
Right. Publicly buzzed. How's it going? Great YouTube show. I've been catching his stuff here recently. You got to check him out after the show, guys. And let's see, Jeff H, who is the guy that. Thank you so much for sending us that video. I appreciate it, because I think that line on his wrist is just a shadow. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. I'm thinking that might just be the shadow of the forearm. What caught my interest more so than anything is this guy seems like a skinny guy, seems like a thin dude. This part of his back of his hand, in my opinion, looks slightly swollen, but it's just hard to tell. It is extremely
Well,
hard to tell.
was he still doing boxing at this point?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. But I do think and anticipate that. Here's the other thing too, right? There's been a lot of questions with students of his and classmates of his currently that have come out and talked about his demeanor and his actions since, after the incident, and how he was, he didn't care. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. All this other stuff, right? But nobody says anything about any visual signs of scratches, bruising, swelling, if he walked with a limp, if he had, was he sore anywhere noticeably? I mean, when you commit something like this, you're well, for one, the adrenaline kicking, the strength that it requires to do this type of incident, and the quantity of people that he went and did this type of incident to, would require a tremendous amount of exhorted strength and a physical, exhorted fatigue, or not fatigue, but what's the word I'm looking for? It would have taken a lot out of him. I would assume that in the days following, he would be sore. His arms would be sore. He would be tired, and it would be noticeably visible, picking up bags, picking up backpacks, things of that nature, because of the grip and the strength required to do this. And with the adrenaline and everything else, I would think that there would be some more signs of that. Now, could he have been covering it if he was still very physically active, was doing boxing, things of that nature?
Yeah.
Then maybe he wouldn't be as sore. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, it can also be past injury. If it is swollen or looks swollen, it could be a past injury. Like, take for me as an example, I used to play a lot of soccer, right?
Right.
I got my ankles injured, and to this day they still look swollen. They never actually really healed. So, and that happened like over 10 years ago. No, over 12 years ago. So it could.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. But honestly, when I look at the picture, it just looks like the camera quality is not so great. It's not that great, so you can't really tell if it's actually swollen or if it's a shadow or even a glare from the sun or passing car.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of talk has been talked about the nose and the bloody nose. I mean, not the bloody nose, his nose being broken. If that was done during the commission of the crime, I don't think so. If you go back to this video, or even let's pull it back up quick. This was taken on the 15th of December. The incident occurred on the 13th of November. If his nose was broken in that incident, he would have bruising to his both eyes. There would be a lot more symptoms of that injury to his face that would not have healed within a month or so. What do you think, Blue? You're the medical expert.
Oh, that's pretty true, man. Like, I've seen people get a broken nose and come in a couple days later, and you would see the yellowing on the side of the nose and the sometimes black or purple bruising for a while, sometimes a month or two, depending on
Right.
how hard they got hit.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so, I mean, it seems like when this injury occurred to his face, it was a significant broken nose. So I don't think that was the case at all. Um, let's see. John Heroic says, do you think he was provoked? Thanks, Phyllis, for the breakdown. Cheers in the chat. Thank you so much, and cheers to you, buddy. I'll drink to that.
Bro, you're the only one drinking, man. I ran out.
Yeah, I got another one too, but that'll be for the after show. As far as do I think he was provoked? Maybe in his own mind. I'm honestly starting to lean towards this guy was infatuated with a certain type of people, and he studied them. And I'm talking BTK, Ted Bundy, things of that nature. In fact, we go over it quite a bit on Friday's show. So hit that like and subscribe button so you can see that. But I'm really starting to lean towards this aspect of it. There's a lot of similarities between a couple of cases that I think he's mimicking, he's imitating, he's copycatting, whatever you want to use. And it all kind of falls into his field. Now, he reminds me a lot of, what was it? Tidwell or something like that. Matt Tidwell or something. Yeah, I think that was the filmmaker who wanted to film a very deadly scene and was so consumed by it that he ended up filming an actual crime and an attempted crime as well. And we'll get into that more. But on another show. But I think that he may have gotten too involved in his case, in his studies, and maybe dove a little bit too deep. He was only in Moscow for about 10, maybe 11 weeks, from what I understand, between the time that he moved there and the time that this incident had occurred.
Yeah.
And so what happened in between that time? Was it that he was away from his studies and his, at DeSales, he had that study and that survey going on. He was talking with ex-cons about their involvement and their feelings and emotions during the commission of violent crimes. In my opinion, is it possible he was getting his fix on that? He was satisfying his urges, and then when he went to WSU, he was no longer privileged or didn't have that type of availability of that type of content to him, talking firsthand to these people, understanding what they were feeling and doing, and turned that direction. It's a possibility. That's one that I've been thinking about here recently. But thank you for your question. What do you guys think? Do you think he was provoked?
Man, it's unfortunate without any evidence, confirmed evidence. I wouldn't. The only thing that can make me feel like he planned this out, if he is the guy, is what you said. The connection between her professor and his infatuation with the crimes of these other criminals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like the most I can say. Like the similarities between that. But other than that, I don't know about being provoked. A lot of other criminals do this without being provoked. So
right,
it's just hard. Right. It's hard to say without confirmed evidence or motive.
Yeah. What about you, Big Blue? What do you think?
I would say, in one of my theories, I think he probably did meet him before, probably at the restaurant they worked at. I mean, there's not a lot of vegan restaurants all over the place. In San Antonio, there's not that many either. So maybe he was rude to him and they said something to him at the restaurant in the past. And at that time, maybe he started stalking him. And then his obsession got over him.
Well, Maddie was the in charge. Madison was in charge of the online presence for the Mad Greek. It was when you Googled a vegan restaurant, it was the number one pick. It's complete speculation, but maybe he did go and was upset that it wasn't as vegan as he thought it should be. You know, you go and look at their menu. There's not very many vegan options. They have a couple, but it's not like that's not their stitch, so to speak. It's not a vegan restaurant. It's a restaurant that has vegan options, if that makes sense. And so, you know, I don't know. Maybe that triggered him.
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't.
like the family said, they had to buy new pans just to cook for him because he wouldn't eat off of something that was cooked with meat before in the past.
Right.
They share a kitchen. I'm pretty sure part of that kitchen has other foods that he's not gonna want touching his food.
Right, exactly. And notice says kind of the same thing. Mad Greek is not a vegan restaurant. It's a restaurant that has some vegan options. And, you know, maybe perhaps that kind of, you know, got him going there. Maybe he selected whoever it was. Because, you know, the more and we talk, like I said, we go into it a little bit more in depth on Friday's show. And tomorrow, y'all, we're gonna actually do two shows, two videos that are going to be going out. One is going to be for members only, and one's going to be to everybody. The one for everybody is going to be our theory. We're going to break down exactly what we think as far as how this crime was committed, from the entry point to where he, you know, we suspect he went, and how he committed, how this crime was committed based on the information and evidence that is out there. Like, you know, we're not going off of 4chan or any of those things. We're going based off of press releases, the police press conferences, what the coroner has said, and what the information that has come that has been verified. And so I think there's enough information there that we can put a theory together as far as how this crime was committed. And I encourage you guys to like and subscribe. As far as the member show, what we're going to be doing is tomorrow beforehand, we're going to put all that stuff together. We're going to record it as a behind the scenes as we talk this theory out, because we've talked about it before, but we haven't really did a deep dive into it. And we're going to do that tomorrow. And, you know, members will get a back pass, so to speak, to see how we came up with our theory and those type of things. So I encourage you guys, if you're interested in that type of stuff, to join the membership. Were we gonna say something, Blue? It looked like you had gone.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of people, not in this show, but they were saying that vegan's gross, and I've had some vegan food. It's okay. I've had vegan hot dogs. There's one time I did have a vegan pizza. It was my worst mistake ever. Probably because I had, like, I don't know, 10, 15 beers. And then I came home to eat, and I found the vegan pizza in my freezer, and I was like, all right. I think it was my nephew's. I said, there's no regular pizza, so I'm going to make a vegan pizza. I threw up the whole next day. I got a stomach bug from vegan pizza. So, cauliflower pizza is horrible.
You know, I always wonder, like, I'm a carnivore, man. I like eating, you know, steaks and whatnot. But, like, why is it that whenever you go to the store and, like, see something vegan, they always try to make it taste like a steak or another kind of meat? Well, I don't see how that works.
Yeah.
So you don't miss what you don't have, I guess.
Yeah, like, how's that work?
You know, and this is completely off topic, but a lot of that like meat stuff or substance is mushroom, I believe. And mushroom is like a huge substitute for meat. And I think that when you look at the vegetables and you look at mushrooms, I think they have DNA wise have more in common with human beings than the rest of the plants, as far as the way their DNA structure works. I actually saw that in a Joe Rogan episode, and I was like, man, that's insane. I just saw it not too long ago too. It was probably about 3 weeks ago. It was before all this came out, of course. And so I just remember seeing that. Bree says that her friend who was listening confirmed that she is a hunter and that he hated that she hunted. So he definitely wasn't into animal hunting or those kind of red flags. Bree, if you do me a favor and let me know in the comments, or in the you can message me later if your friend would be interested in coming on and maybe talking with us as well. No pressure or anything, just, you know, curious and hopeful. And so you know, we're hitting about to that 1.5 hour mark, guys. Well, before we go, JJ Sykes says, at first I thought it wasn't a SK, but BK is the guy. I predict he could possibly be linked to other violent crimes. I am guessing towards women. Do you guys think he's a SK? Or do you think that this was his first time? We'll start off with you, Hannah.
I feel like if he's the person who committed these crimes, I think it was his first time. I mean, there's other criminals, other SKs, right? That started off being like with 4 victims,
right?
But I don't know if it does kind of seem like I said before, like he does give you that creepy factor, but I mean that's not enough to put a guilty stamp on him. You know what I mean? Just because someone's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I on my point, I think it's probably not, but maybe it's his first group, because he got caught, so maybe he did something different this time. I don't know. There's other murders in those areas that we've heard about where people got killed at night with a knife.
Yeah, no, for sure. Give me 1 second. I'm responding to something real.
So I guess what I have to do is our homework and see if they were within the time that he was in that state.
Sure. I know that there's been a couple of people that some folks are trying to link back to him. However, I think one of them was nearby and it occurred like a year and a half, or 2 years earlier. And I'm not entirely certain that those are the situation. I think that this may have been his first time, but I do think that had he not gotten caught, like Jaime mentioned, he would have continued. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I see that he has landed real quick before we let everybody go.
I saw that on the chat too.
Yeah. So I just want to see. Now, I'm not sure exactly when they're going to release the PCA. What's today? Wednesday. He's going to be booked. He's going to be given a room. I assume probably tomorrow, maybe he'll get his, he'll get the PCA, or potentially. I'm not sure how fast these guys want to work it, but I assume it'll be released sometime by potentially by the end of the week. If so, we'll be doing a show on it pretty soon. Do you guys think that? Well, man, there was one other question I wanted to ask you guys, and it just completely slipped my mind. Do you guys have any last questions?
No, not really. It's more of a statement, just more want to say thanks for Bree coming on, and, giving us, kind of an insight on her relationship, friendship with Bryan. I want to say thanks, and I want to say thanks to the people in the chat, our members, and to you guys too. Yeah.
For sure, man. For sure. Thank you, and thank you everybody in the chat. I'm just gonna look up one more. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention too. Let me see. I put it up earlier. The corner store, or the corner club, came out and said that Bryan wasn't in their establishment that night, and they didn't kick anybody out either. And so all those theories about potentially him being there or following them there aren't accurate. It's right here. Suspect was not and has not been here. No one was removed from the bar that evening of the incident. Stop calling us. And so if he wasn't at the bar, he's not seen at the grub truck video, you think he was already in the house?
I think he probably waited, not inside the house.
Outside the house?
Yeah. I think that would be his best bet. Because if you're inside the house, you don't know if you're gonna get discovered.
Well, there was a unoccupied second floor bedroom.
Yeah, true. But I think it'll be better off if he stayed out and then waited for everybody to go to sleep and check that out. You know what I mean?
For sure. I want to say thank you to Lovely for becoming our newest YouTube member. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, Bree. You gave us a little bit of an insight of how he was when he was a teenager, almost an adult. So it gave us a little bit of insight. If he had anger issues, I guess we'll find out all that stuff out later.
So, per Brian Enton, looks like the plane Kohberger now on final approach 16 minutes ago. So, it's about to land, or it just landed. Man, this is. Oh, we have another new member. Thank you so much, Sharona. We appreciate you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be breaking down our theory tomorrow, and we intend on putting it out tomorrow. That's our intention. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't have any words or say against it.
What's it called? I saw Jam J in the chat earlier, and I haven't forgotten about those bottles, man. You can see the Gmail on the bottom, so you know how to get a hold of us.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much. Go find me. Oh man, that one moved up. Oh, stay safe, stay vigilant, everyone. Thank you guys for having me. Can't wait. Stay tuned and keep listening. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Bree, coming on. Thank you so much for taking the time to interact with us in our great chat and our chat room and our viewers. We appreciate it 100%. Couldn't say thank you enough.
Thank you, Bree.
Yeah.
But all righty, guys. We'll be coming on tomorrow. Please stay tuned. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Jason, another new member. Thank you, Jason.
On the way out,
right in the nick of time.
Yep. Good old Jason's. Let me down, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank
that
you.
being said, guys, we're out of here. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Later, man. Take care.